Hello, my friends. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new to the channel. Today, we are going to talk all about stress eating. So this is a request that I really got from my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called Conquer the Food Fight, and I asked them the other day about some YouTube content ideas, and one of the top ones they asked me for was a video on how to deal with stress eating. So that is what we are going to cover today. If you are somebody who eats when you're stressed, who turns to food when life feels overwhelming, then you're going to want to stick around for this one, because I'm going to give you a very specific 4-step little acronym that you can use, and you're going to be able to lodge this in your brain and keep it with you. And the next time stress threatens to sabotage you and send you to the drive-through, you're going to be able to remember this little acronym, okay? So stick around. You're not going to want to miss this one. If you are new to the channel, or if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Just click that little subscribe button and click the little notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload new videos. We post new videos here every week, all about how to reprogram and rewire your brain's habits and patterns around food so that staying on track with healthy choices consistently starts to feel so much easier and becomes your new normal. Okay, so here's the first thing to really understand in this conversation about stress eating, is that stress eating really isn't about the food, right? It's really not about, I know we think, we have our go-tos, like when I'm stressed, I want sugar, or when I'm stressed, I want potato chips or whatever. But the truth is that this really isn't about the food. The food choices that you're making when you're stressed are really just your solution for how you're managing your stress, right? They're the way that the habit, the pattern that you have created around how you navigate, how you manage the feeling of stress, right? So this one really is, I think, not so much about the food. This one is really about how are you actually managing your feelings of stress. Again, right now, if you're using food as an attempt to manage or navigate those feelings, it's probably not working out really well for you. It's probably not an effective, efficient strategy for managing stress. So I think this conversation is really more about how are we managing our feelings. So that is what we are going to dive into in this video, because I think that if you can develop a more effective and efficient and healthier way of navigating feelings like stress or any other uncomfortable feelings, boredom, loneliness, sadness, overwhelm, if you can figure out a better way to navigate those feelings instead of turning to food, then that is going to help you so much in terms of the food choices that you're making most of the time. All right. So given that this really isn't about the food so much as it is about how we're navigating our feelings, I want to share with you a little 4-step strategy, a little acronym I have that you can use to manage really any uncomfortable feeling, whether it's stress or loneliness or sadness or worry or anxiety, rather than turning to food when you feel those feelings. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, the little 4-part strategy that I want to share with you here comes with a handy little acronym to help you remember it, okay? And that acronym is NAIL, N-A-I-L, like fingernails, okay? I want you to remember that the next time you feel like you're turning to food to avoid an uncomfortable feeling. I want you to think NAIL. All right, and let's break down what each of those letters represents, okay? N is for name it. A is for allow it. I is investigate it. And L is look for a more effective solution. Okay, so let's go a little deeper. Let's break down each one of those so you can really see how it works and what to think about it and how to actually use it in your life. Okay, so in our NAIL acronym, N, you're going to name it. Now, you might already think, well, I'm stressed, right? That's why I'm watching this video, Sarah. I eat when I'm stressed. Okay, that's fine. But let's just take a moment and just explore this feeling, right? Let's just get present. Let's maybe take a breath, take a pause, and just see if we can really identify what this feeling is. Okay, stress. But can you go a little deeper? Is it fear? Are you afraid of something? Are you worried about something? Is it overwhelmed? Do you feel overwhelmed by life? Do you feel unappreciated? Do you feel sad? Do you feel tired? Do you feel depleted? Do you feel run down? Do you feel empty? just find some more texture to this feeling. To just say, oh, I'm stressed. That's fine. Like that's a great place to start. But see if you can go a little bit deeper, because part of effectively managing and navigating your feelings in a healthy way is to better understand them. If we just kind of write off our feelings as just lumping everything under the umbrella of stress, it's not really helping us understand exactly what it is we're feeling. And that means it's going to be really hard for us to find a more effective approach or solution to that feeling, rather than just always turning to food when we feel it. So that's why N in our acronym here, our little strategy, is name it. Okay, so just take a minute, take a beat, take a pause, take a breath when you're feeling stressed, and just start to explore, what is this feeling really? Can we get a little bit more specific, a little bit more granular with what this feeling is? Just start to explore, start to get curious, start to follow those breadcrumbs and just see, like, what is it that I'm really feeling here? Can I name it? Okay, the next phase in our little strategy here, the next letter in our acronym of NAIL is A, which is for allow it. So what this means is, it sounds counterintuitive, but I want you to actually allow the feeling, allow the stress or the worry or the overwhelm or the fatigue or whatever it is that you identified in the first stage when you named it. Can you just allow it? And let's be clear here. What I mean here is not to wallow in it or say, woe is me, or invite in more of it, or trying to, we don't want the feeling to get worse. But it is important that we allow the feeling. It's interesting because the more we resist a feeling, the more we try to push it away, the more we try to say, oh, I don't want to feel that, and thus do things like turn to food or other distractions, social media, shopping, drama in our lives, all the ways that we attempt to avoid these uncomfortable feelings. The more we can actually allow them, the less vulnerable we are to all of those different devices that we try to use to avoid those uncomfortable feelings. So I want to encourage you to really just allow the feeling of stress. Again, this isn't about wallowing in it or milking it or making it worse, but it is about relaxing and putting down, letting go of your attempt to push it away, right? Just allow that, okay, I'm feeling this way. This is how I'm feeling right now. Allow the feeling to be there. It's important to remember that feelings are just energy, right? Feelings need to move through your body. And the more we resist them, the more we actually hold on to them. So if you can let that feeling move through your body, it will dissipate, right? That's when you will actually be a little bit more free of it. If you allow it, let it be felt, and then let it go. So I really want to encourage you for this second step in our little strategy here to allow this feeling, right? I kind of like sometimes I use the analogy of like a wet dog, like my dogs might be out in the backyard and maybe it's wet and muddy out there and they want to come in. I don't really particularly want them in. I certainly don't want more muddy, wet dogs in my house, but I have to allow them in. I can't keep pushing them back out into the backyard. I have to allow them in, all their muddy wetness, right? And so it's kind of the same thing with uncomfortable feelings. It's not that we want more of them. It's not that we're wallowing in them, but we do need to stop resisting them. We need to just allow that it's there. And I think you might find that you get a lot of relief from the discomfort of the feeling by simply putting down your attempt to resist the feeling. Okay, so that's A in our acronym, allow. All right, and that brings us to I in our little NAIL acronym, our little strategy here for managing feelings without turning to food. I is for investigate it. Okay, so we named it, we allowed it, and now we're going to investigate this feeling, okay? And we're going to kind of like, I always imagine, you kind of like pick it up and turn it around and like check it from all directions and just see what this is all about. Where is this feeling coming from? Where is it originating? Is there something that you believe or something you've been taught or something you think that is creating this feeling? Something you imagine you should be doing or shouldn't be doing or should be better at or should have gotten more done with? What is the belief or the thought that you are believing that is maybe creating this feeling, right? Is that what's going on? Or maybe it's just, maybe you're exhausted. Maybe when you investigate this, maybe what you find is that you haven't been making time for yourself. You haven't been filling your cup. You haven't been taking care of yourself. So just to start to explore, like, where is this feeling coming from? Just start to explore this feeling. Follow those breadcrumbs, follow it back to its root and see if you can investigate it and just get some more information about where this feeling is really coming from. Feelings usually come from a thought. So what are you thinking? What are you believing that is making you feel this way? Or again, is it simply that you haven't been caring for yourself? Are you just tired? Are you exhausted? Or have you not been making time for the things in your life that really fill your cup? So it could be any number of things, but just start to get curious and start to investigate where this feeling that is triggering this desire to eat, where is it coming from? What can you learn about it when you do that investigation? Okay, so investigate. Okay, and that brings me to the fourth stage in our strategy here and the fourth letter in our acronym of NAIL, which is L. And L is for look for a more effective solution. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, the issue around eating when you're stressed, I don't think is so much a food issue as it is an issue about how you're managing your feelings. And right now, you may have a habit of turning to food to manage uncomfortable feelings. So what we want to do here with this last phase of our strategy, L, look for a better alternative, is to actually find a solution to this feeling or a way to manage or navigate this feeling or dance with it that it actually is effective, right? The food is probably not the best way to deal with your feeling. I always talk about how people are often trying to fit like a food-shaped peg into a feeling-shaped hole, right? And they don't really fit. So there is probably some kind of proper shaped peg that you could put in that hole, but we need to better understand the feeling first before we can do that. And that's what we've done in these first three stages, right? We named it, we allowed it, we investigated it. So hopefully now you know a little bit more about what this feeling is. And so now you can look for a more effective solution. Now that you know what you're dealing with, and you haven't just lumped it all under one umbrella of stress, you can start to think about, given what I've now realized, some insight maybe that I've had into what this feeling really is and where it's coming from, what actually makes sense in terms of a solution, right? So if you found that in your investigation, as you named it and allowed it and investigated it, if you found that, oh my gosh, I think I'm just exhausted, like I think I just haven't been making time to fill my cup, to take care of myself. So obviously then the answer isn't junk food. The answer, a better solution is to figure out in your calendar when you can carve out some time to fill your cup, to do the things that really recharge and replenish you, right? If you are feeling overwhelmed by the things on your plate and you've discovered that through naming it and allowing it, investigating it, you realize, oh my gosh, I just have too much on my plate right now. Maybe then a more effective solution is to, just take out a piece of paper, and make a whole list of like everything you've got going on and figure out what you can sort of delegate to other family members or other people at work or whatever. How can you get some of these things off your plate? So think about, given again what you've learned in the first three phases of this strategy, naming it, allowing it, and investigating it, based on everything you've discovered, what would be a more effective solution for this feeling rather than food? Okay, so that is number 4. L, look for a better solution or a more effective solution. Okay, so I hope this little 4-part strategy with this little acronym is going to be helpful for you. And I want you to really think about remembering this acronym every time you see yourself moving towards food to deal with an uncomfortable feeling, whether it's stress or just feeling tired or just feeling overwhelmed or bored or anything, okay? Again, this video is about how to avoid eating when you're stressed, but I think this same principle can apply to all kinds of uncomfortable feelings. So I want you to remember our acronym NAIL, right? N, name it. A, allow it. I, investigate it. And L, look for a more effective solution. Okay, this is going to help you start to break that pattern of turning to food every time you feel an uncomfortable feeling, and instead help you better understand your feelings, better navigate them, and actually find solutions that really address the true feeling that is going on within you. Because our feelings really are messengers, right? Our feelings are trying to tell us something about something that needs to be addressed. They're like that little check engine light in your car, right? We don't want to just ignore them. We don't want to just numb them with junk food. We want to really work with them. We want to ride those waves. We want to ask them what they have to tell us and find out what messages they're sending us so that we can actually take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves in a really effective and loving way. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you're going to use this, give the video a like if this was helpful and you think you're going to use this NAIL acronym as you go forward the next time you find yourself turning to food because you're feeling stressed or anything else. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the little notification bell so you get notified every time new videos are uploaded to the channel. I post new videos every week here, all about how to reprogram and rewire our old patterns and habits around food so that staying on track with healthy eating consistently starts to feel easier, starts to feel more natural, starts to just become your new normal. And if you want more information on this, I'm actually hosting a free masterclass coming up. I'll put some information about that in the description below, but I'm going to really do a deep dive into how to really start to train your brain to actually want the healthier choices so that you don't feel like you're constantly fighting your brain. It isn't this constant like tug of war between you wanting to do the better, healthier choices, but then your brain feeling like it's pulling you back to the old ways, right? We all know how that feels and how frustrating it can be. So check out that masterclass that I'm going to be hosting coming up. It's totally free and you'll get a much deeper dive into some of these some of the science behind our habits and also how we can start to use that and some really interesting elements of food psychology to better understand how our brains work around food and how we can start to train our brains to stay on track with healthy eating. All right, awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you right back here next week.